So why set a condition for a future debate?
Well, I think what Joel was getting at a couple of things. I mean, we had a process whereby we were talking about adding additional debates. That seemed to be working just fine. And then we see this kind of stunt, as Brian Fallon pointed out yesterday. They send this public letter about demanding a debate. At the same time, we see reports about how they're doing polling on new lines of attack on Hillary Clinton. And so it just felt like, hold on here. You don't get to set the terms and the conditions around when or where we debate. We've had a process. Let's stick to that process rather than public stunts, particularly at a time when you had said at the beginning of this campaign, you were, I don't do negative attacks. I think at one point Senator Sanders also said, I'm not really into polling. Well, now it's all about polling how to attack Hillary Clinton. What kind of a campaign is that?
Well, it's a typical campaign. I mean, most presidential campaigns, I would dare to say, engage in some negative ads and some polling.
Well, but I think, I'm all for that, but don't then set a standard at the beginning of the campaign and say one thing and then decide you're going to play it another way just because. And by the way, I think it's an important point. If we had a debate in New York, I can guarantee you Hillary Clinton would do very well. Not just because she does well at debates, but because this is a state that knows her well, knows that when she says she's going to do something, she gets it done.
And there you go. So why not do it? I mean, if it's to her favor, why not just agree to it?
But I think the point is less about do we agree or disagree about should we debate in New York, and more about let's talk about the tone of this campaign. And again, let's talk about we had a process by which we were talking about debates. Why are we now going to stunts? Why are we now going to, saying we're going to publicly attack? He tried that, actually, some negative attacks. Negative attack ads that came out going into Illinois and North Carolina, and they didn't work,
Well,
actually.
there you go. Isn't it, though, up to voters to decide whether or not they like the negative attacks or they respond to the negative attacks? Why is Secretary Clinton setting the tone for what the Bernie Sanders campaign does?
Well, we're not. We're just going by what Senator Sanders himself said. I mean, he essentially said, I've never run a negative attack ad, ever. Well, if that's the standard, then when you change that standard, and by the way, I do think that part of what tends to happen as we're having this conversation is people look to the Republican side and want to say, well, at least it's not that bad. If that is now the new standard, our country is in a lot more trouble than we might have suspected.
So where are you with it? If Senator Sanders says, okay, no negative ads whatsoever, then she'll have a debate in New York?
We'll have a conversation about it. Like I said, we've had a conversation and led to the debate in Flint. Let's go ahead and go back to that process and talk about it.